Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to do another subgenre and book recommendation video because I felt like recommending these books and I didn't find anything connecting them besides that. So we're rolling with it. Basically, I have here another 6 subgenres. Some of them I have already discussed. The ones that I read the most from. So makes sense. But we're going to start with my favorite one, which is going to be court intrigue, which we are going to differentiate from political intrigue, even though they are basically the same. But court means in the court, basically, inside the same kingdom and such. Yeah, I'm rolling with it. Don't worry. So for this, I'm going to use a very recent read of mine. You have heard me talk about it in my what the fuck am I reading video, probably if that came out before this one. But this is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Tarek. This book was great. I read it this month, I gave it 4.5 stars, thought it was amazing. Like, it's been a while since I've read a book like filled with deceit and court intrigue. Like, it's so good. In this one, we're going to follow a good chunk of characters where we are going to focus on Ren. She comes from nothing basically, but thanks on how she looks like, she is going to pretend to be one of kind of lost member of this noble family, and she's basically trying to get some coin from her and her sister. It's just so good. Like, the masquerade part of this book was so good, man. There's a lot of also like dressing up and imposing as other characters, using magic. Is great. I think it's very similar. I told you last time I talked about this book to The Lights of Lord Lamora. I don't know why, but it gives me like the same vibe. Not a low magic system, but the magic is not that prominent, and there's mostly like trying to deceive and being a con artist and such. So yeah, highly recommend The Mask of Mirrors. It was so good, man. So if you like Crossworlds fantasy, this is a bit of a stretch because for me it's the same as Portal fantasy, but apparently the difference is that in Crossworlds people do not have to use a portal. It's something like the Chronicles of Narnia, which I always thought was Portal fantasy. Apparently it's a Crossworlds fantasy, because a closet is not a portal. Technically, I think I'm using the wrong book here, but I'm just tilting the same Crossworlds as Portal fantasy, basically. So for this, I'm going to use House of Holo, which I read a couple of months ago and really like. This is fantasy horror. Basically, we're going to follow these 3 sisters. A lot of sisters lately, I don't know why. But these 3 sisters, when they were young, 3 of them went missing, and when they came back, no one knew what happened, but they were like, their hair was white. They were just like in a state of shock. And years have passed. They develop like this kind of weird type of power. People become obsessed with them. They get like mad with with kind of passion when they touch them. It's weird, sounds quirky, but it's just so good. And basically one of them goes missing again, and the other 2 are trying to find her. The part of the Crossworlds here was so good. Something like Rules for Banishing, or even it's not Crossworlds, but holy shit, the one by Melissa Salisbury, Hold Back the Tide. It has like the same atmosphere, which I really like, so I highly recommend this one. I really need to get my hands on a physical copy of it, but the atmosphere and the horror in this book is top notch. Also, there's a lot of gore, if you like that. I really like that. But yeah, overall it was super good. Then if you like dark fantasy, I have already talked about this book before, but I don't know, I just really like it, and I do really want to read the sequel next month. So Blackstoneheart by Michael R. Fletcher. I was really surprised by this book because it was exactly what I wanted. It's a really weird type of dark fantasy book. Let me tell you why. Basically, we're going to follow, how was Crane? Yeah. Crane was this powerful dude, and now his heart was broken into several pieces, and he basically has to go and find him so he can regain his memories. But the thing is, there's a twist in the middle of this book, because you know you're going to follow Crane, and he has a piece and he has to find other pieces. There's a twist in the middle of this that I didn't see coming, that I thought was great. Has to do with multiple things. That was a hint. That was such a bad hint, but if you have read it, you know. It's really like dark. We have a lot of necromancy and such. This was good. There's also this prayer that comes out throughout the book that she dreams in blood, which is great, and it's also the title for the second book, which I'm super excited about. I'm in love with the cover, honestly, like it's just so beautiful. But yeah, I highly recommend this one, honestly. If you just like grimdark fantasy, you're going to love this. Also, necromancy has such a prominent role in this book. Like, I really liked it, but I don't really want to read the sequel, so I forced myself to read it next month, because I don't want that much time to go by before I get to it and forget some things. Also, some demons here and there. Super good. Highly recommend this one. So the next subgenre that I have is historical fantasy, which is a genre that I don't use, well, a subgenre that I don't usually reach for, because I'm more of a full-on fantasy world type of person. Like, I do not mind historical fiction, historical fantasy, but I much prefer fantasy in general. But this book was so damn good. So this is A Master of Djinn by Jelly Clark. Man, this was amazing. I basically binge read this and all the novellas that are set in this world. The novellas came before this main book, but please, I need another book, like another novel. Please, do not give me more novellas. I want a novel, another full-length novel. You're basically going to follow Fatma, and she is an investigator. We are set on Cairo in 1912. I think it was, yeah. And a murder happened, and she's basically investigating. This is also a steampunk alternative history type of book. And we have angels, we have Djinn. It's amazing. I just don't want to talk about the main plot of this book a lot, because it was so good. Also, the characters in here, some of the best ones that I've ever read from. Like, oh, Fatma is one of my favorite characters of all time already. Like, even in the novella, I think she only shows in one, actually. We have some mythology here also, Djinn mythology. It was amazing. And basically, the murderer claims to be this kind of messiah, and there's a revolution. Highly recommend A Master of Djinn. Honestly, at first I was meh, but since I read the first novella, I was just like, okay, I'm going to love this book. And indeed I did. It's going to be one of the best books that I've read this year, probably. So I highly recommend this one. Then, because I haven't recommended this book, I think, the whole year. And it's one of my favorite series of all time. So I think I should. For military fantasy, which you know is one of my favorite genres in fantasy, basically, I'm going to recommend you The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, because I just really enjoy the hell out of this book, honestly. This trilogy is fantastic. Basically, we're going to follow Rin, and she was born in the poorest part of this country, this kingdom, and she gets the chance to participate in this test, and she basically gets the highest score in the whole province, so she gets the chance to go to Sirens, which is the most prestigious academy, military academy ever, and she basically goes there. The first half of this book is kind of not magical, but in a school setting, and then the other one is full on military fantasy. This book is amazing. If you, for some reason, haven't read this one, do it. Like, what are you waiting for? But yeah, I really liked it. It was fucking amazing. The second book, The Dragon Republic, is top notch. Like, so much political intrigue there also. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the third one. Like, I really liked it, but I think it's the weakest of the three. But man, book 2, Dragon Republic, on another level. And then, because this was such a weird choice, but the last time that I talked about science fantasy, so much people were just like, what the hell? Basically, science fantasy is a mix between science fiction and fantasy. It's a super thin line. For me, science fiction is when what we call magic in fantasy is explained, basically. In fantasy is when we just have magic and such. So I usually catalog a book as science fantasy when, apart from science, it also has magical elements. So for this, I'm going to use Iron Widow by Shiran J. Zhao. That is a bit of a mouthful for me. But basically, this one, the tagline I love is Handmaid's Tale meets Pacific Rim. This world where humans are being threatened, and we have these monsters, and we have come with the idea of having this type of material, and from that you get mechas that fight these monsters. Basically, they use like a dual pilot system as in Pacific Rim. So you have a boy and a girl, and usually the girl gets killed in the process. So we're going to follow Setian. Her sister was killed in one of these missions, and she's basically sworn revenge against that pilot, and she has enlisted herself to become one of the pilots for these kind of gigantic mechas. Well, they're called chrysalids, but yeah, perfect example for science fantasy, especially towards the end when you get like the huge revelation. But yeah, I really like this. I really like this. This was so much fun. There's also the discussion of really heavy topics here regarding women and feminism in general. It was fucking great. I just really liked it. It was so much fun. Like really, like so much fun. Iron Widow. Now I'm super stoked because there's a sequel coming apparently. I thought that one was a standalone, but I'm excited. So yeah, those were my recent fantasy recommendations. Some of these books I read really recently and just really enjoyed them overall. But yeah, I will have more of these like super short recommendations video coming soon. Do you have any recommendations for these subgenres? If you do, please just leave a comment down below. But as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.